Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I'll show you a cannoning Airuts guide for 2019. This will be a high-level melee setup. I highly do not recommend this if you're doing Airuts for the very first time. As a disclaimer, it is by no means easy to learn. Here are the requirements. Technically you only need 92 Slayer. I strongly recommend you have high combat stats. The location I'll be using is Mascab. In order to get there, you want to use the Raids group system teleport. Press F5. Then you're going to select Raids and then create the group. Now update the group and finally hit ready, and then you'll be able to teleport there. The interface is a little bit confusing. However, this is the fastest way to get there. You're just going to keep going south in Mascab, and then you'll see that spot nearby. Equipment setup. First, I have Noxious Scythe. The perks I have are Aftershock 3 and Precise 5. Of course, you're going to bring full Slayer helmet if you're on Slayer task. In terms of armor, the Bandos armor works just fine. However, I do highly recommend you use stronger armor, especially if you're struggling to survive. Personally myself, I use the Masterwork armor. Reaper's Necklace. It will give you 3% more accuracy. Otherwise, you can just use a Blood Amulet of Fury or even the Amulet of Souls. Scrimshaw Vampirism. It's a very amazing healing source, so I highly recommend you bring this here. I like to prioritize Penance Aura because it makes things so much easier. Berserker Aura and Brawler Aura, well, they're just for DPS purposes. Finally, just use Vampirism Aura if you're struggling to survive. For armor spikes, they're really amazing to bring here. Basically, if you're in melee distance, you can reflect damage to nearby mobs. Inventory setup. I'm not going to get into the obvious things here, so I'm just going to explain in details the things that you may not know. You want to bring 1 or 2 pieces of emergency food, although the Airuts do drop a lot of sharks anyways. The Blood Nihil pouch. This will add 5% more melee accuracy. The cannon I'll be using is the melee cannon, and no, I'm not going to use the range cannon in this case. This is the invention cannon and it's called the Kinetic Cyclone. For the magic notepaper, you'll be using it for the Airit bones. Here is the Slayer tool belt. First, you want to have the Bone Crusher upgrade. It will cost you 25k chimes. This automatically picks up the bones for you. You also want to have a Charming Imp in your tool belt, and finally, Advanced Gold Accumulator. Well, that is if you have that, which is pretty optional anyways. I will be using Turmoil and Soul Split. You can just use Revolution++ and it works just fine. You do not need full menu, but that doesn't mean that you can just AFK here. This is the following rotation. I have Meteor Strike, then follow that up with Hurricane and Quake, and finally Cleave. Now for the rest of the basic abilities, well, just fill the rest with any basics you want. You can also use Berserk here, but I find that it's extremely dangerous. Here is a strategy. You want to place your melee cannon between the charger cages. You can just let your character automatically attack them while you're standing underneath it. Early on, there will be a lot of ranged Airuts, so I highly suggest you kill them as soon as possible. Setting them up is really hard as you can see right here, but once you settle in, it becomes a little bit easier. Once the first batch of Airuts are killed, then every single Airit that spawns from now on will be in melee form. There is one ranged Airit, but it spawns right underneath the cannon, so you do not need to move. Usually you should keep your HP nearly at full, even without a Scrimshaw Vampirism. For this reason, if you want to save money, then you can try flicking on and off Scrimshaw Vampirism, but that is only if you're using a higher tier armor. They drop a lot of these sharks pretty often anyways. For some silly reason, the Sign of Life did trigger this hour. That was because I had the Scrimshaw Vampirism off for at least 20 minutes. Sometimes you'll get really unlucky and all these Airuts will hit their special attack at once. That's why you always want to pay attention. The armor spikes help a little bit here because it will do extra DPS as you're reflecting the damage. Sometimes there's a ranged Airit from the north that will attack you. In this case, you want to do one of 2 things. The first thing you want to do is walk a little bit south of the cage right near the cannon. Then you want to wait until the Airit is trapped right behind the cage, and your cannon can pretty much finish off the Airit. Now if that's not working, this is the second option. You want to walk behind the south cage and then wait until the stack of Airuts are trapped behind it, and yeah, just go back there and kill it with your AoE abilities. This is where you take most of the damage. Every 20 minutes you have to click your cannon to repair or else it will degrade. If you want to make more profit here, then don't forget to use your magic notepaper on the Airut bones. You can manually alch the salvages, but that's a lot of effort here. With that being said, this method's not extremely sweaty, but it's not AFK either at the same time. Oh Tony, this is not the best spot for Airuts, why are you showing me this? You're right, this isn't the best spot for Airuts, but I'm telling you this, it's the most realistic method in order to learn and survive. Anyways, in 1 hour, I was able to kill 480 Airuts. This in turn would get you 960k melee XP per hour, and virtually that would have gotten you 384k Slayer XP per hour. It's definitely slower than Kurdel's dungeon, but you can still camp this for Invention XP. As for how much money I can get per hour, that's 6.3 mil worth of gross income, in which case, I excluded the soft clay drop. If you were to factor in the cost of things like magic notepaper, the springs, the cannon, or the scrimshaw, then the net profit per hour would be reduced to 4 million GP per hour. You can also get Sirenic skills as well, but I didn't even get a single skill this hour. As for Crimson Charms, it's actually not a bad choice. I'm pretty sure you can average around 250 charms per hour. With that being said, this method's not really powerful compared to before. It's a great alternative compared to Abyssal Demons because you don't need to fight for Crashers. The only problem is that it is a lot less AFK. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already because I will definitely be doing more combat guides in the future.